Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for being here. Lord, I ask that the words of my mouth, meditation of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight. Amen. This morning, we're going to talk about the tasting the joy of salvation. Scriptures coming from 2 Kings 5, 1 through 3, and verse 15. We can only realize that we are saved and feel the joy salvation brings when we share salvation, so that others may also be transformed. The joy of salvation is a personal experience that can only be tasted by those who choose Christ as their Lord and Savior. The Bible said, taste and see that the Lord, He is good, isn't it? You know, my father used to always bring it up, a nice, pretty orange here. It looks real good. But if I eat it, you don't know how it tastes unless you taste it for yourself, huh? So we must taste the Lord and see that He is good. 2 Kings 5, 1 through 3, this account calls our attention to 4 people. One is Naaman, the servant girl, the king of Israel, and the God, the prophet. Leprosy was regarded as an incurable disease, but the Hebrew maid had been taught by their parents that there's nothing impossible for God, So Naaman was a powerful, important man who had everything and nothing. He had everything because he was a great man before the king, but he had nothing because he was a leper. He had everything because he had many worldly possessions, but he had nothing because he didn't have God. He didn't know God. He hadn't tasted the joy of salvation. So when people look at Naaman, they feel bad because they saw only his leprosy and suffering. The servant girl, she was a slave far from her homeland. She didn't have any material possessions, but she had everything because she, in her heart, the Savior, the true God. When people looked at her, they could see peace and hope in her countenance, her life, and her words. Can you imagine a lady, a little girl around 8 years old being taken from her homeland? She would have bitterness, shouldn't she? But although a captive, the maid did not forget her homeland or her God, Nor did she think thoughts of ill toward those who had taken her captive and forced her into an involuntary servitude. Filled with love toward her God, her heart went out in sympathy to her alien master and his wife. Instead of wishing Naaman ill because of the misfortune that had been brought upon her, she wishes him well and hope for his recovery from his terrible disease. Remember the marvelous works of Elijah in her homeland? She had faith that the prophet could heal Naaman of his leprosy. But what God had wrought through his servant in Israel, she believed he could also perform toward those of an alien race. You know, this is where we have to be connected to God. So when things of this bad things happen to us, we can still hold our heads up high. The king of Israel. Here is someone who had everything and had nothing. Even as the leader of God's people, he didn't trust God. He had the knowledge of God's power, but didn't trust enough in the wonderful God who brings the joy of salvation. See, when we have Jesus, we should have joy, You know, there's no other joy than having Jesus in your life, God's prophet. Let's look at 2 Kings verse 8. 5 verse 8. Let me get back to where I need to be here. Verse 8 says, and it was so when Elijah the man of God had heard the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent the king to the king, saying, wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. See, Elijah, God's prophet, was someone who was constantly with God, someone who belonged to God, and someone who could feel and share the joy of salvation. The servant girl, in this account, the servant girl lived the joy of salvation, was a blessing to the needy, and took salvation to the sinner. A person does not have to be an adult or be in a favorable of advantageous conditions to share the joy of salvation. Everything was going wrong for the servant girl, but God's presence in her life was something that could not be hidden. Sister White says, those who give their lives to Christ-like ministry know the meaning of true happiness. Let me say that again. That is beautiful, isn't it? Those who give their lives to Christ-like ministry know the meaning of true happiness. Their interests and their prayers reach far beyond self. They themselves are growing, and as they try to help others. It's found in Christian Service 269. So we live a Christ-like ministry, we should know the true meaning of happiness. So when you're doing things for God, we should be overjoyed. To see someone change from one. I remember where I was when I came to God. I could be in prison. That's why I love ministry, because I could have been one of those guys being preached to, I thank God for changing my life. See, this thought from the spirit of prophecy sympathizes the joy of salvation, the wonderful experience lived by the servant girl. As she observed Naaman's suffering, she felt compassionate and revealed to him the wonderful power that could save and transform him. So we know that Naaman, just like a terminal disease, wasn't it? So when you attracted leprosy, that was also a death sentence, might as well say. But Naaman was able to taste the joy of salvation. He got to know the wonderful power of God who transformed completely. His flesh was restored. But he had to bump heads with the prophet there for a minute, didn't he? The prophet told him to go down there and dip in the Jordan River, which was a muddy river. He wanted to look and like, well, I got crystal clear waters in my land. Why do I need to go here? Well, he said, well, if you want to be saved, you need to dip in the Jordan 7 times, not 5, not 3, but you have to do it 7 times, So Naaman felt the joy of knowing God. He felt God's power in his own flesh. See, there are many spiritual lepers around us, slaves of sin and suffering, who are eager to know God and who are willing to pay any price for peace, relief from pain, and the joy of salvation. In this account, the king of Israel, we find a king who did not know the power of God. Many of us in the church today do not have the assurance of salvation. We are in the church, but we have not tasted the joy of salvation. So we are in the church, but we do not know the wonderful love of Jesus. So if you have not yet tasted the joy of salvation, we need to wake up spiritually, wake up to the spiritual beauty of salvation offered by Jesus. We need to experience that, There's no time for discouragement or selfishness. It is time to live an intense relationship with Christ. We have this world, the things that's happening in this world is bad, got to pray for the families that the kid got run over. Those 5 high school kids. I don't know if y'all heard about that. Killed one instantly, and the other 5 were in the hospital. I don't know what their condition is, but you know. And then the guy that was victim, his son had got run over by a hit and run. So this thing is, you know, we living in a world where, you know, we're not safe where we are, where we think there's peace, you know, we comfortable. People sleeping in their own homes. Cars are running into the bedrooms, huh? So we could be asleep and don't know. Somebody allowed to come running through there and don't know. That's why we got to be ready, church. We got to experience the joy of salvation if we want to meet Jesus when he comes. You know? The fearful attitude of Israel's king is a warning for us to wake up and seek the knowledge of God and for salvation. God's prophet. In this account, we see that Elijah, a man of God and an instrument of salvation in Naaman's life, rejected any kind of payment or gift. He was demonstrating the gracious way God saves, huh? He was showing what the joy of salvation does to the transformed sinner, giving everything without taking anything, huh? Ain't that Jesus, ain't it? Giving us life without asking anything for us, huh? Can you imagine that? Just picture in your mind, you know, a man that hang up on the cross, got 2 nails in his hands, in his feet, a spear in his side, did all that for you and I. You know, we have to grasp that. For us to all have the joy of salvation, huh? Taste today the joy of salvation. If you feel like a servant girl, a slave in a strange world, who's surrounded by impure people in a secular society, we must shine, huh? Witness for Jesus. Tell others that there is a power above all power, huh? Tell them that there is a power that restores and brings joy. Taste today the joy of being saved and restored by Jesus. You know, we might not be restored here for the pains and aches that we go through, but if we live a Christ-like life, God is going to restore us to brand new, huh? So when Naaman finally went to the water, he went dumped one, he dumped twice. He dumped 3, he's like, man, this ain't working, you know? Then he went 4, 5, he was 6, he was wanting to give up, didn't he? But when he went down the 7th time, he come up with skin like a brand new baby, huh? See, God worked miracles, y'all. He worked miracles through different avenues, huh? He worked miracles through the doctors, huh? Giving us a way of what's a terminal ill disease that we can be cured, huh? So we must taste and see that the Lord is good, huh? So if you feel burdened by sin, if you feel humiliated and overcome by sin's problems and uncertainties, remember Jesus, the water of life, who cures and he restores, huh? Taste today the joy of salvation. If you're in church but don't feel you're a witness to the power of Jesus, if you still have not surrendered yourself to the master service, today is the day, y'all. Not tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. Today is the day of salvation, huh? We need to change if there's a problem in our life. God is calling on each and every one of us to be an instrument of salvation. It is time to taste the greatest joy, the joy of salvation, huh? We need to taste Jesus and what he brings, because God gives us all that we need, huh? So let us taste the joy Jesus had this morning, each and every day, because Jesus is one we're going to need to move from this world to the world made new, huh? Heavenly Father, Lord, let us taste the salvation of Jesus. Lord, we live in a sinful world and sin is all around us, Lord, but Help us to let you shine through all the midst of things, there's terrible things around us. Lord, let us taste and see that you are good. We ask in this in Jesus' name. Amen. At this time, let us stand as we sing That Amazing Grace.